Hello, YouTube. It's nice to see you again. Welcome to my channel. My name's Kelsey, and this is Kelsey Creating, where I typically say here that I talk about all things art, business, and manifestation. I have been having a little bit of not necessarily a change of heart, but a desire to go in a direction that I've sort of always wanted to go in, but held myself back from with YouTube, which is talking more about spiritual concepts and, things that I'm going through in my journey as I go through them. And the thing that I want to speak about today is the concept of free will and the concept of manifestation and how they in different ideologies can sort of combat each other. Um, some people are, not religious and, like fully rely on autonomy and hard work. And some people are very strict manifestors. Like you manifested everything that you ever had. And, um, you know, every single thought is always creating your reality. And while I do believe that manifestation is real and that it's a part of the process, I also have at times in my life leaned too far into it and not given any room for the divine plan to, come into play. So it's been on my mind a lot recently. These two sort of differing ideologies that, with balance, I think that we can use together. Because I've been through a lot of like things that were really exciting for me recently that didn't happen. Some adversity, I've had, some interesting things happen in dating, people coming and going. Job wise, I've been like really excited for a job, got super deep into the process a couple times and ended up not getting it. Thought I found the house that I wanted and I didn't. So when all these things come up, like it's hard for me not to think about. This is Theo. Say hi, Theo. It's hard for me not to think about the idea of the divine plan and that trusting in it is important because there were these things that I really wanted that didn't happen. And like I was saying, some manifestors would say, "Oh, like you had limiting beliefs, like you didn't get this because you didn't believe hard enough." And I don't think that that's true, and I've believed that at certain times in my life. But through all these things, it's like there has to be a truth in divine protection and, the divine having a higher plan for me, and that's why all these things are not working out and I'm going through this adversity. And maybe the plan is just character development, who knows. But so all that being said, I do really really enjoy Mel Robbins' take on manifestation, which she is like, we should all like know and love her at this point. Hopefully, if you don't know her, please check her out. Check out the Let Them theory. Check out her talks on manifestation because she is right on par, I think, with what I'm starting to believe in. And she talks less about like the divine plan, but her concept is when it comes to manifesting is that you definitely have to believe. Like that's what a lot of us think it's about, right? Believing, trusting, like knowing, like, yes, this thing's gonna be mine. Stepping into higher vibrations, like all that stuff is really beautiful. But she argues that without the action steps that follow that belief, you're not going to get anywhere, right? Which is true. Which is very, very true. And you could look at it the other way around, like, without belief, you might not take the action steps, which I'll get into. So when I look at either side of the coin and I try to make an argument for balancing both, I do have some pretty strong arguments that I work through in my head to go through these things. So I've been in points in my life of more forceful. I've heard someone say like Neville Goddard manifester before, and it was like, a couple different things. Like I was manifesting a specific person at one time, which is really difficult. And it's like definitely a mind game. Like that person is just not even there in your life and you're trying to believe that they could be or should be or are, like whatever, take that you do on it. And it was kind of like a very dark time, honestly, that I was doing that. And I got it actually. Like this person did come back and he manifested in such a horrible way. Like our relationship was very like distant, and I wouldn't even say tumultuous, but it was tumultuous in my heart because I don't think he wanted to be with me, and I don't think he wanted to be with anyone at the time, honestly, which he actually told me that, like, right when I manifested him back, like, he told me that straight away because I was very excited. I, like, freaked out. So the manifestors that believe in, like, the 365 method, like, do it all the time, would say I flopped it and I, like, let go of the strength that I should have had around it, and then that's why he manifested, improperly. But looking back, I think the universe was just like, "This isn't your person." And I should have let him not be my person the first time around, So there was that instance for me. It was like just a forceful thing that didn't work because I don't think it was supposed to work. And in other instances, like I have an art business, I still run that. So if you're watching me right now and you're like, she's talking about something that's not her art, like this is the channel I follow. Um, I'm still doing that. I'm still going to be selling my art. I might still make art videos, but I am called to make more content like this, which I've always wanted to. But so last year, I went like really all in on my art business. Really, 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 really all in. And I wanted it to work so bad, especially because I was going all in even a monetary sense. I had a couple other jobs, but they were more supplementary, smaller incomes, and I wanted my art business to be the thing that I do. And it still is a thing I do, which I've accepted, like, not one of my jobs needs to be one or the other. Um, and I wanted it, like, so, so, so bad. And recently, maybe like a couple months ago, 5 months ago, maybe, when I let go of the idea that that would be my main thing right now. And I was like, small like businesses take time to build. Like this is going to grow over time. I was, I don't want to say I was foolish for wanting it to happen overnight, but I was putting too much pressure on it. And energetically, whenever I said, okay, like it's going to be all right, let me not put too much into this, in terms of like energy and wanting it so bad. I'm still putting energy into my business, but just that like grip of desire. We had this thing in lacrosse that my coach used to say, and she was like, when you guys want to win, you're holding on like this, like this. If you just let go just a little bit, like you still hold on. I was like, hold on loosely. That song Hold On Loosely, it's riding me up now. Just came to mind. That's when you play better. I always played better when I had fun instead of wanting to win. And so when I went from this to this, that's when I started getting sales online. So that this is where, I do believe manifestation is a real thing where you place intention, you set a desire, you go for it. And then that last part, which we always talk about, the detachment part, is a pretty big deal. So I did see my online sales, I wouldn't say skyrocket, but come in a lot easier and faster after I had that energetic shift of, I want this, I'm going for it, I'm not going to stop. But like I'm okay. Like not to say it doesn't need to happen, but kinda. That's a little bit of what detachment means. So that's sort of like the manifestation piece of why I feel like we can't only lean on manifestation. The other piece, which is free will, autonomy, we might even want to call it like hard work. There's a couple different words for all of these things, really. I think only leaning into that is also a very negative thing, right? Because basically, in a way, without the faith that it could happen, without any sort of like positive thinking, manifestation, it's possible that you might be working hard, but you're not even really believing that it could happen for you, which I think is also a little bit going back to my art business of what happened is like I was just working so hard and I was working on my beliefs, so I was like meditating on it, like I was doing the work, but there was a level at which I was just pouring so much hard work into this. And I don't think people are too far off when they say that not everything has to come with extremely hard work. One of my favorite tarot readers on YouTube here, he like always says like you would benefit from more structured, like focused, intense work, even if it's only for like 2 to 4 hours, than doing like an 8 to 10 hour day of a million things. And I've seen this be true for other people as well, people that I've actually worked for. Um, like, I think you work a little bit too hard. It's almost like this belief that we need to work so hard for anything to happen to us. And I don't really think I don't really think that that's true. I think there are cases where hard work definitely gets you there, and maybe it gets you there faster. I'm not saying that we shouldn't work hard, right? We should go for what we want, but without that belief piece, how much hard work are you going to even do, right? So that's where we come back to that balance. And even thinking about something that happened to me recently, well, not happened to me, it was a conversation I was having. We were talking about like love and dating. Which is a great example for kind of like all of this. And the guy I was speaking to, so I feel like so many guys, I don't want to generalize people. I really don't. That's not my intention. But I've met a lot of guys, like a lot of men, that have had their heart broken like once, twice, like 3 times. And there's like, it's like, I'm just giving up. Like, I hate this. Like, I don't even want to try. Like, it's not going to happen for me. And every single time, I'm always like, you're gonna try and try and try and try and try. And one day, and this is my belief, and what I want, what I search for, is one day you're gonna try it and try and try, and you're gonna try again, and you're just never gonna break up with that person. Or you're at least gonna have a very like long winded, love affair with this person, right? You just have to keep putting yourself out there. And he was like, no, it's just not gonna happen for me. So that's where this sort of belief comes in as well, as like, because he's not believing that it can happen, he's not even taking the action steps for it to happen. And I could tell he wants it. We're sitting here talking about it, Even his buddy was like, oh, well, what about your friend that I met the other day? And I was like, she's taken, like, back off. And then there was a girl at the bar that I knew, like, that I kind of, like, knew. And he was like, oh, like, I've had a crush on her forever. And I was like, well, you ever told her that? Like, you ever walked up to her and, like, really tried to talk to her? And he was like, no. And I was like, why not right now? Like, what's the Michael Jordan thing? You miss 100% of the shots you never take. And he was like, nah. And I'm like, dude, don't ask me about my friend. Don't tell me you want to date someone and not be trying, And that's something, like I was saying in the beginning, for me, is like just sort of like relentlessly like on this pursuit of finding someone to share happiness with, and feel seen by, and just be genuinely loved by. And I've gotten burned a lot. I've burned people a lot, and you learn your lessons along the way, and you learn what you like and what you don't like. And it's not my intention to ever give up on that until I find the person who I want to have children with and be married to and spend a lifetime with. Considering it stays well. When I marry someone, I do, like, that's it. And that's something I really want. So I'm never gonna stop trying for that, and I never stop believing that either, which is another reason why I do think that one of these days, sometime, it's gonna happen for me. And it's just gonna stay, it's just gonna stick, because I haven't stopped believing that it's possible, no matter how many times I've thought that, it's all these different limiting beliefs. I don't even really want to speak them. It's not really my story anymore. But so, needless to say, I really think that just manifestation, and just like forceful manifestation, is going so, it's just like butting heads with the divine plan in a way, because I think that the universe, you know, the universe gives you what you want, or God, whatever we want to call it. I'm open to anything. They have an idea for you, right? They want certain things for you. There's a person that they want you to be with, you know. I do believe in like even the butterfly effect, right? I do believe in that sort of faith and like manifestation piece. Oh, well, that's manifestation. So it's where they get so confusing because it's almost like two and two can be the same, and certain arguments can be made on either side. But that's what the balance, you know, sort of is about. So I think trusting, but then also, like I said, with the Mel Robbins take on manifestation, taking the action steps is it's so key. Like that is in a way what manifestation is. But we also do need to leave room for, wow, I really wanted this to work out and it didn't. I'm going to trust that something better is on the other side of this, or that this opportunity might come back to me if it is meant for me. And that is just something that has helped me so much through this adversity I've been facing recently. And it's still not really easy all the time for me to trust this. Like sometimes I have glimpses of like, oh my gosh, am I really going to get up and try again after this person? Or, you know, am I even supposed to like get like this certain design job? And, you know, in a way of in my personal life, just feeling sort of lost for some time here. I've had to surrender, I've had to let go and just trust that one day eventually the sort of answers are going to come to me as I try different things or put myself out there for these different opportunities. So that's where I'm at with this concept right now. I hope that this talk helped you in some way, or that it opened your eyes to different things. I know that in my past of exploring manifestation, and having been actually atheist prior, that I've really leaned into either way, and I really hated the energy of either way personally, and I don't think either way is the way it works or the way it is. And I've been prone to sort of like not discerning the information that I'm receiving, especially when it comes to really intense, like strong manifestation. Even the other day, like I clicked on a video of like someone who had rejection as divine protection in the title, but was like, that's a myth. You manifested every like failure or you know, what I would call a turning point or a pivot point, right? Like you manifested that. I just clicked off immediately, and I would have bought that before. I would have gone for that information before, but my beliefs have changed, and it's definitely been something that I've been thinking about a lot. So, thank you so much for being here with me. I did make a playlist around the concepts of what I talked about today. Some songs are really leaning into manifestation. Some songs are, you know, leaning more into like hard work, and some really resemble the balance of it. But I tried to balance the whole thing to sort of encapture this energy that I'm speaking of. I've always, as I've worked on manifestation, or even as I've worked on my faith practice, leaned into music, and it just amplifies the experience of, you know, belief and wanting to work at it. So I will have that playlist linked down below, and I'll also put the Spotify code right here because those are so cool. Like if you happen to be on your computer, you can just scan it. It's called Free Will and Faith. Yeah, with some stars around it, which is my favorite emoji. I'll probably be listening to that playlist a lot by myself. I've made like 4 or 5 manifestation playlists in the past, and I think this one's a really good culmination of my favorites, where I'm at, it's, you know, the ones that have stuck with me forever. So I'm excited to give you sort of an experiential vibe here in this video. And if you're still watching me as someone who started watching me with my art channel, I appreciate you so much for being here. I do want to say that I might be going in a slightly different direction here on YouTube. I'm even just sitting here talking to the camera like this. It feels way more correct and right. It was so much more natural. This is the first take I'm doing. All I needed to do was get through high, and I think that was a pretty good conversation on how I'm feeling. So yeah, I think I've been called to make videos like this. This is the kind of content I've always watched on YouTube too, so I'm called to make content like this more now. I do want to still do my art videos. I'm not sure if I'm going to like completely pivot this channel or, you know, I don't like really want to start a new one for my spiritual stuff. I'm thinking that while we're always told to niche down in business and in YouTube and everything, that like people that buy from me and they get my business card and they come to this channel, Kelsey Creating, they will get a sense of like me. And my friend who I sold with at an art market the other day was like, you showing you is like a really big part of why people buy from small businesses, because they care about you as the person behind it. They care about your product, but you being the person behind what you do will help your art even make more sense to people. Because I do make art around like spiritual concepts and tarot cards and stuff. So if you're new to this channel here and you want to check that out, I'll also have my art page and my art shop linked down below. But thank you again for being here. I hope you have a peaceful rest of your night, week, and life. Bye.